how in the world, how in the earth can they imagine taking Ligt out of that team? Ligt is by far the best centre half they got. And they take him out of the team, leaving it for Kim and Upamecano. And that this will create so much problem,
Hi and welcome to the Fussball Channel, and with the conclusion of the first Bundesliga match day, we've been fed quite the games, quite the occasions, and the first indicator of Kompany's Bayern as they go on to win. They left it late, but they won 3-2 away to Wolfsburg. The fair amount of talking points, I think, Dad, from that game that I'd like to dissect. Obviously, it's a big win, but there are other matters that we need to discuss. But before we kind of categorize into such, what are your immediate impressions of Kompany's first Bundesliga game with Bayern Munich?
Yeah, I watched the game and they were 2-1 down. It's a great skill away from home in Wolfsburg, in Ralph Hasenhüttl's team, to come back isolated. Is a good skill to have. But I think the standard by Bayern is not to win away at Wolfsburg. They can do that. They will be measured on winning titles, and they have to go back now to win the Bundesliga game. And the way, Marcus, they played out from the back. I mean, that was terrible. I mean, that thing Kim and Upamecano were doing. I mean, what were they doing?
It's the really? Benny Hill show, Dad.
Yeah, it is. And for those who doesn't know who Benny Hills are, the young listeners, have a go. They were it felt every time that Kim or Upamecano were trying to play out from the back, they had no clue. There was no pattern. They will say that it take time to get in. Fair enough, and you get 3 points as you are practicing, because it looks like practicing. Then you have Bowie at the right side, and then you have Davis on the left side. And Bowie, I mean, we can say a lot of things about him, and a lot of it will end up with a minus, a negative thing, because he's doing a lot of. This time he made a penalty. We remember him in the big game was against Leverkusen when he was totally out of position.
As was the rest of the Bayern team in that game.
Absolutely, but again, the standard that we expect Bayern to be, I mean, I didn't see anything, Marcus. They were saved again by Thomas Müller. Thomas Müller come in, kind of use his energy, his contagious energy. I think that was his 708th game, which makes him equal with Sepp Maier, the legendary goalkeeper. One more game, and no players have played more games for Bayern, speaks for him. And then Gnabry made the winner. And again, that is a fantastic skill to away from home. Bayer Leverkusen left it in Leverkusen time to win their game on Friday against Gladbach. But still, Marcus, and we talked about it in different episodes, how in the world, how in the earth can they imagine taking Ligt out of that team? Ligt is by far the best centre half they got. And they take him out of the team, leaving it for Kim and Upamecano. And this will create so much problem, Marcus, because we know that Vincent Kompany, he has a very ambitious way of playing and playing out from the back. The Kompany way, we've seen that at Burnley. We saw it in the Championship. We didn't see it in the Premier League. Oh, yes, we saw exactly what we saw now. So they could be more punished by that. But, I mean, they will conclude by saying that will take time. And while we're at it, while we are practicing, we're winning football games. So that's the big comfort for Bayern fans.
Yeah, I mean, first half from Bayern was strong, I think. 1-0 up. Solid. And then there was just a nightmare there start to the second half. The problem is, and I don't want us to be too negative, because there are positives from Bayern. It's Kompany almost said, he said, yeah, it was to be expected that second half in a way. I don't know exactly what he means by that, but maybe it's because it takes time to get the team going and the relations going as such. But even still, you had Sacha Boey and Michael Elise combining well in the first half. That's not the problem. That's Sacha Boey, who Kompany likes a lot and might be the first candidate on a right back ahead of Stanisic, despite his injury now. That's not the problem. It's the fact that you have an older generation of players that have been absolute stalwarts of this game for Bayern. You have Thomas Müller, you have Neuer, you have Kimmich in part. These people that are leaders, especially the two former Neuer and Müller. You need then other players step into those roles, to take that leadership position. Thomas Müller has maybe a year left. Neuer, who knows, couple of years left. Then I would think, okay, who are the most realistic candidates who can step up to this? First on my list would have been Ligt, right? So when I see that game, Kim and Upamecano, they can be the best ball-playing centre-halves they want to be. They can be whatever, which they weren't, by the way. And I know it comes with risks playing the way they do. But when I see the two of them, and having seen their performances from last season, this game wasn't happening in a vacuum. I'm aware that this is the only one game, but it's a continuation from last season. And so being able to see that, and then now hearing talks about, well, we may probably need another defender in, maybe a Boateng, maybe a Hummels, whatnot, because Ito is long-term injured. I find it discouraging. And if that is something that might cost their Bundesliga title, that might be, but it sure as hell isn't enough for Europe. Because the standards that they have been playing at in Kim and Upamecano, as expensive as they were, as attractive as they were in the transfer market, is for me just simply not good enough.
Now, you're absolutely right. And we have to ask ourselves, why do you try to play out from the back? I mean, that is the reason, because we want to create space. But the way Bayern playing now at the moment is that when you try to play out from the back, then you have to create the space. So if let's say, put it another way, if they make a high pressure on Bayern, which every team will do now, because they see these are FC insecurity, they will try to do that. Then they can stand high, which will create a lot of space, which that is not the Harry Kane game. Harry Kane needs the ball in his feet. Harry Kane needs to get crosses. Yes, they have a Gnabry. Yes, they have a Leroy Sané. Yes, they have a Musiala can transport the ball also through dribbling. So I see there some tactical challenges for Bayern, how they're going to do that. I'm not sure that the team is very well balanced to do that. Because if Kim and Upamecano keep doing this, they will lose their confidence. That has nothing to do with one being French international. Kim, one of the best players around in Napoli, was maybe the best in Europe, but they can't do it. So if I was Bayern fan, I would be worried if it's not gonna be Burnley in Premier League, because these are great players and they will win football games. But I'm with you. I didn't see anything that can bring me to think that Bayern has taken so many steps. And you're 100% right. This is only one game. That is the only experience we have. But this was warned that this could happen. So I guess Vincent Kompany will be so happy that they got 3 points, as I'm losing my voice now, so I have to drink water.
And we know the defensive woes. If we look on the other side and the positives, but also the challenges that it could create for Bayern, is the fact that we saw a Leverkusen win very late in Gladbach. We saw RB Leipzig win against Bochum by 1-0 only, but and our beloved Norwegian Antonio Nusa scoring the winner. So the fact that they got that win in the first match day against an improving Wolfsburg, right? 4 wins in their last 8 league games of last season, massively improved under Ralf Hasenhüttl. So huge credit in the fact they were able to grind out a victory. The fact that you have Serge Gnabry coming back, who was on the periphery, who there was large discussions about going out. He's been able to restore him, and we remember him at his best. Michael Olise, who got great reviews, and combined well with Sasha Bowie. And then there's the challenge, right? Because in that midfield too, you played you played Kimmich and Pavlovic. Palinja on the bench. Now, we've heard for the last year that Bayern need their holding 6. So Palinja will play.
Yeah.
What does that mean then for a Kimmich or a Pavlovic? A Pavlovic who is that next generation player for Bayern. What does it mean when Michael Olise is performing at the level he did in that game? What will Leroy Sané do? Those are kind of the dynamics, and that kind of goes into our next point, is being a Bayern manager is not merely about selecting a team or getting the tactics right. It's also about managing massive personalities, as well as the media that comes with it, that will scrutinize every relationship and every conversation you also have with these players as well.
And that's what I've been worrying about Kompany all the time. First of all, the politics at Bayern. We'll see that later. Now it's all about how much minus will Freund and Erbel do in this transfer window. Maybe they'll be talking about Koeman going to the Saudis, and then that will maybe take off something of their budgets, which is good for them. But I'm not that worried about that, Marcus. This competition of places, that is Bayern. If you can't take the heat, get the fuck out of the kitchen. So that I have no problem about that. They have to fight for their places. I think that is good for Bayern, and but you need someone who can manhandle that. Man management will be very important. We can see that is one of the big strengths of Alonso in Leverkusen. But mind you, it's easier to do it in Leverkusen, because even now, when they try to defend a title, there's still, I think that if they go second or third, they won't take down Bayern Arena. They will say, okay, yeah, we were in Champions League, we were reigning champion, we had a double, blah, 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 and they will do that. Bayern got to win the title. That is why Kompany has come there, is to win the title, and it's a perfect time for him to come. But we see already now, after a okay game in Wolfsburg, they're winning 3 points. We will all say that we won, that is the main thing, but there is a bit criticism in there. So it's going to be interesting to follow, as you were saying. Will he then take Kimmich back on the right back, because he've said he maybe will have in central? Palinha will play. Olise, how much trust will they put him in? Leroy Sané, and so on and so on. So the only steady ones in that team will be Harry Kane, Manuel Neuer, the two old heads, and Kimmich in some kind of position. Davis, what will happen to him? He doesn't have a contract. Will he go to in 3-4 months? He can be free on the market. He can sign somewhere else, and so on. But that's Bayern. This is what Bayern is all about, and then it's all about Kompany handling it.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be interesting to follow. And we're football people. We understand it. It's beyond just one game, but it's our job, I guess, to discuss tendencies and where things might turn for better or worse for Bayern. Towards the end here, let's just give a little shout out to Andrej Kramaric. He scored a hat-trick again in the last league game of last season against Bayern, and now scored another hat-trick. That puts his tally to 135 goals and 56 assists in 286 games across all competitions for Hoffenheim. That was his 100th Bundesliga win for Hoffenheim, and he is just the third player in Bundesliga history after Gerd Müller and Klaus Fischer to score three goals or more on an opening day in 2 different occasions. What an understated and underrated player that. He came in 2016 from Leicester, didn't quite work out for him, but wow, what a player he has turned out to be for Hoffenheim and the Bundesliga.
I'm quite easy as a personality, Marcus. People who are kind to me, people who score goals, I like them. So Kramaric, I work with the German Bundesliga. He was a lovely guy to interview, and I follow him. He's a goal poacher, a goal getter. So three goals for him, not surprisingly though, but because he loves his goals, as you were saying, based on his stats. Hoffenheim, a club a bit in turmoil. Our friend Alex Rosén was fired, and there are things going on at that club. Could be a bit changes. Also, I don't like to talk about a lot of Dortmund because they beat my Eintracht Frankfurt. I watched that game as well. Gittens 2 goals for them. Good start for Nuri Sahin in his new role. Then you had, of course, what did I want to say? Freiburg. Freiburg with Schuster, after 100 years with Streich, a new coach, no experience, 1-0 down for Stuttgart at home, winning 3-1. Kübler, Marcus, wasn't it? Because he never scores goals. So I had to check out how many goals he scored. He scored 2 this time. And then, Marcus, I want to end with a Norwegian. I love to end with a Norwegian. Antonio Nusa comes on in the Pokalspiel, in the cup game, scores after 2 minutes. In the Bundesliga, he comes on, is against Bochum, is on the pitch for 4 minutes, and he scores again. So that's why I asked my friend, who is working as a local journalist in Leipzig, Guido Schäfer, what a man he is, to send me and us a report on Antonio Nusa's first day in Leipzig. And here it is.
Hello, Jan Age and Marcus, the 2 podcast giants. Yes, your wish is my command. Let's talk about not sex, but a very sexy player, a very skillful player, Antonio Nusa. We all fall in love with him. He's a very, very good guy, a nice character in interviews. He comes right to the point, and he's self-confident. and he's self-confident in his mind, and also on the pitch he's so skillful. And Jan, you told me he's a door opener. Yes, indeed, he is a door opener. He opened the door for RB Leipzig in Essen, and also now against Bochum. He came in the game, and 1 or 2 minutes later he scored. And yes, it makes so many things easier for him, for RB Leipzig, for the teammates. And now he's searching for an apartment with his girlfriend, and he will find an apartment in Leipzig, and he will find also a place in the squad from Marco Rose. I think it's a very, very good transfer for Leipzig, also for Antonio Nusa. And yes, let's have fun. He said to me in a small interview, I want to enjoy my profession and also enjoy my life. Take it easy. Yes, right words from a young and very, very nice, lovely guy. Yes, all the best, Jan Hage and Markus. Yours, Guido Schäfer. And excuse, my English is not perfect as yours. Liebe Grüße aus Leipzig, euer Guido Schäfer, the legend from Leipzig. Bye-bye.
As far as intros go to an audio clip, that I think that was one of the more favorite ones you've provided. What a character!
He's a fantastic character. He's a good friend of Jurgen Klopp. Klopp loves him. I think he told me once he had a deal after he went to Liverpool. He said, "Just give me one exclusive interview a year," which they've had. And yeah, he's one of my favorites around in this business called football.
No, that's amazing. Hopefully we can get some more audio clips from him going forward, especially if Nusa performs as he does. That concludes our kind of weekly recap on the Bundesliga. And for looking ahead to next weekend, the big game being Leverkusen against Leipzig.
Wow, that's a big game.
Two title candidates, and will surely be an entertaining game to follow. But that, for now, thank you very much. And then we will chat next week.
Auf Wiedersehen.